Let's continue with the first floor. Before we begin, let's create a layer for it. We can simply copy the 00 layer or ground floor layer, so we directly have our sublayer set up with the right colors. Simply right click on the layer and select Duplicate Layer, not Duplicate Layer in Objects, as this will also copy its objects and that is not what we want. Cool. So let's start again with our floor outline. Let's turn on our first floor picture frame, this one, and make sure the layer is locked, and also let's make our outline layer the current one. Alright, let's start again by drawing a polyline at the top left of the floor plan and work our way around the perimeter clockwise. What we're going to try is to use straight line pieces with arcs for the curved parts, as much as we can. Let's start at the top corner, where the main wrap ends, and simply trace around using the picture frame and the grid as guidance. Don't worry about the stairs and the ramps, we'll cover those when we'll start drawing in 3D. We'll use the same method for this level for the zigzag part, using the grid and smart track to draw this part. Alright, so now let's continue our line downwards and let's turn on our ground floor layer, so we can snap to the corner of the wall below. Alright, so follow along the wall and draw it all the way until you intersect with the grid. Don't worry about the fillet, we'll do those in a second. Now draw the line down until the stairs and finish it on the other side of the stairs. Before we continue, let's first fillet that corner. If I remember correctly, we use 5 meters as the radius for it. Okay, now we need to create that little arc between the stairs. Let's pick the start end point on arc method for drawing this line piece. Okay, cool. Let's continue our outline with another polyline, and let's start that one from the arc piece we just drew. Let's stop our line a little short of the curved part again, and let's continue with a horizontal line piece above that stair. And stop it again a little short of the curved piece from the bridge part. Let's first fillet the two line pieces together. Let's use 7 as the radius and make sure to join option is set to yes. Alright, let's continue with the bridge part. Let's first draw the two parallel lines on either side of the bridge, as we can use those later for our fillet operations. You can draw one line piece and copy it to the other side to ensure they're parallel. Let's continue with a polyline at the top of that core. Don't worry, we'll fillet those corners later on. Let's stop our polyline a little shy of where the curved part of the outline starts. For this small last part, we'll use a control point curve again. Okay, so for the facade outline, we'll use a polyline again. But first turn on your 2D outlines from the ground floor, so we can trace over it. Turn the corner and stop it a little shy of the fillet from the walk bridge. Let's start at our initial start point and draw a vertical polyline and give it a small horizontal turn, so we can use it for our fillets. Alright, so let's fill in the gaps with some fillets. Make sure your join is set to no this time, as it is easier to redo a fillet if the radius is too big or too small. It is a little tricky to get the radius right. No worries, just hit Ctrl Z or delete the radius part and try again. Alright, we're done. Let's select all the line pieces we drew and hit join to join them together. So there's the floor outline for our auditorium missing. Let's start at the grid intersection and draw a polyline straight down until where the curvy part starts. This is one of the occasions where we need to use a spline curve. I would advise you to draw a regular control curve and not an interpolate curve. You can always drag the control points around to match the shape of the curve after you've drawn it. If you draw an interpolate curve, it will add more control points to match the exact shape. Most of the times, these extra control points are unnecessary. Remember, when you draw a curve with a degree higher than 3, or in other words a curve that has a free form, always strive to draw the least amount of control points possible to get your shape done, always. So where were we? The curvy lines from the auditorium. So let's get started. Click on the control point curve button or type in curve in the command prompt to start a command. So nicely trace over the outline. As you can see, it is a little tricky to get it right. But you get better at it the more you draw curves. Alright, so we stop the curve where the wall goes straight up again. If needed, you can adjust the curve control points by selecting the curve and pressing F10 to turn on its control points. If you're done getting the final shape right, simply press F11 to turn them off again. Okay, so now we can finish our shape by drawing a polyline until our start point. Let's use the walls from the ground floor as a guide for this straight wall piece so they overlap nicely. Use the outside of the wall to trace over. The only thing missing is to join the line pieces together. Next up are our walls. Make sure your walls layer is the active one. Let's copy over our walls from the ground floor layer. You can either right click on the walls layer and select objects or manually select the lines, and after that simply copy them in place using the copy command. The only line we need to adjust a little bit is the outline from the auditorium. Let's split the line so we can adjust it a little bit before we offset it again. Type in split or click the split button to start a command and use the point option to select our split points. Let's also split the bottom curved part so we can move it down a little, so it matches with the floor plan wall. We can use the same split command again using the point option. Let's draw those two connecting line pieces to connect our just splitted curve line. Let's start them from the polyline ends and trace them over the floor plan. Don't forget to join the individual line pieces together. Alright, let's finish the lines up using another polyline, starting from the end of the line and end at the grid line we started from. Use Smart Track to extend the line with the same direction and finish at the grid line. The line was started. Select the lines and join them together in one line piece. Alright, time to offset the wall again. Execute the offset command in the way you prefer and make sure the cap is set to flat and the distance to 50 centimeters. Nice, those were the main walls. I know, we're missing a lot of interior walls. You feel free to draw them if you like. You can make this model as detailed as you want. I don't want to spend too much time on them, so we have more time left for the skin. Finally, let's quickly draw the outline of the core wall on the left. Let's use a control point curve and let's start at the top left again and work our way down clockwise. Don't worry if you messed up some points. You can always later on correct those, moving control points. Now let's stop a little shy of our beginning and let's use a fillet with a radius of 2 and make sure the option is set to yes. Cool guys, those were the walls. Let's continue quickly with the columns. We can do the same trick we did with the walls. Simply copying over the columns from the ground floor. Make your columns layer the active one and switch on the first floor picture frame to see where the columns are located. Now simply select the columns from the ground floor that we want to copy. And there's that row of columns from the entrance facade. And there's that row of columns at the north facade. And when we've selected all the columns, simply right click on our active layer and select Copy Objects to Layer. Great guys, that was the first floor. Next section will continue with the second floor.